With the third pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Cameron Boozer from Duke University.
Cameron Boozer, he has been a winning player at every single level, and now he is on his way to Memphis.
What is going on, NBA fanatics? This is your friendly neighborhood Memphis Grizzly homer, Memphis X, and iTalkHoops. Last night, officially, a new era has begun in Memphis NBA basketball with the 2026 NBA Draft. Let's talk about it. Before we go any further, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the beginning of the next basketball season, and I need your help to get there. Thank you very much for clicking on this video.
Wait, I did come in for the 808. 808. Big man in the paint, iTalkHoops. Lay up, free throw and swoosh. Throw and swoosh.
Well, it is official now. The Memphis Grizzlies drafted Cameron Boozer, number 3 in the 2026 NBA Draft. And curiously enough, the Memphis Grizzlies also drafted Karim Lopez, the first Mexican-born NBA player drafted in the first round last night at pick 21 through a series of 2 trades where they went from 16 to 17 to 21 and picked up 5 second-round picks. Now tonight, the second round continues or concludes the NBA Draft, and the Grizzlies have the 32nd pick, and there's already rumors that the Grizzlies are looking to trade that pick to either trade down or trade out of the second round entirely and acquire more assets. And I am guessing that some of these second round picks will be used to dump Ja Morant later this offseason, hopefully later today, God willing. But yes, last night turned out to be, at least for the third pick, pretty uneventful. We did have some Grizz fans that thought there was an outside chance that the Utah Jazz would trade Cameron Boozer, the son of one of their scouts, Carlos Boozer, former NBA All-Star, who works for them right now. But the top of the draft went basically scratch as thought of since the lottery night. Dybantsa went number 1, Darren Peterson number 2, Cameron Boozer number 3, and Caleb Wilson number 4. Of course, most Memphis fans are real excited about acquiring Cameron Boozer. As you can see, I'll try to insert the reaction at the NBA draft party the Grizzlies held last night here. And you can tell that the Grizzlies fans.
Come on! You hear it? Here we go.
The Memphis Grizzlies select Cameron Boozer.
And once Utah took Darren Peterson, we all knew that it was 99.9% a sure thing that Cameron Boozer was going to be a Grizzly, and there's always a chance that your team does something out of the box and the Grizzlies could have took Caleb Wilson. But as you saw, or as we heard on some of the final, on the press conferences after the draft, Zach Kleiman did speak and basically said what most Grizz fans that follow the draft and know this team well had known or predicted since the lottery. Cameron Boozer was basically a Zach Kleiman wet dream of a prospect. I mean, not only was he analytically sound, he's mature, he's productive, he wins, and he went to Duke. So, the only other prospect I think that could have been better in the last 3 years, in the last few years that were better, Cooper Flagg and Wemby. Other than those two, I think for the Grizz purposes, this was a dream prospect. Now, Summer League is coming, and we're going to do a preview on that soon. But first, we got to wrap this draft up and find out who's going to be on the Summer League roster. But I'm going to do separate videos on the expectations prior to Summer League for each of Cameron Boozer, Karim Lopez, and whoever they select in the second round, if they select somebody in the second round. But right now, I just want to focus on that Cameron Boozer gives us a great foundation to kick off this next rebuild. Karim Lopez gives us a great foundation to kick off this next rebuild. And it's going to be interesting because Memphis now is going to be like the center of NBA attention for Mexicans in Mexico because, regardless of how you want to say it, it's a big thing for one of your countrymen to do something as big as become the first round pick. Because, although Mexicans play a lot of basketball, Mexico has not been a hot spot for producing high-level NBA players. So this is a big deal for them. I expect Grizz Twitter, message boards, podcasts in Spanish. We already had that with the Gasol brothers anyway, but this is going to be a different kind of Spanish. So, yeah, I think we're going to see a quite a bit of an explosion in online activity just due to the Kareem pick, but also the Boozer pick. Cameron Boozer is a star. And I mean this in the sense of, not in the sense of that how Ja Morant was a superstar. He's a star in the way that Tim Duncan was a star. Fans are going to get such an appreciation of watching him play night in and night out. When you watch somebody, and this is coming from somebody who was a Spurs fan from the moment, I think I got to San Antonio in, let's see, when did I get to San Antonio? I got to San Antonio the season before Tim Duncan was drafted is when I got to San Antonio. Because I remember all the slander that Houston Rockets fans have for Spurs fans. I mean, it's amazing how things change, how Spurs are considered such a well-run organization now. And Houston is like on the back burner of what the Spurs are. But back then, Houston was coming off, fresh out the Hakeem years and the Hakeem domination of David Robinson in the playoffs. And you had a big, bitter rivalry between Houston and San Antonio that Houston dominated because Houston had just won 2 championships. But Tim Duncan was the kind of guy, I remember seeing him in the mall all the time, just walking. But he was the kind of guy that set a tone for the Spurs organization that still lives today. So we're talking, 1994, 95, something like that? So we're talking 30 years later, the tone that Tim Duncan set for the Spurs as being hardworking, just quiet, reserved, is still in place 30 years later. That's what kind of impact he had, and I'm hoping that that's the kind of impact that Boozer has here. Now, it's going to be hard to win like Duncan did in San Antonio. The NBA is different. He did not get drafted. Well, maybe he did. Tim Duncan got drafted to a team that had a top 75 player already in place. And that's where the key is. Like I said during the draft show yesterday, or the video I did yesterday, the key is not Boozer. Boozer is going to do what Cameron Boozer has always done. He's going to perform, he's going to produce, and he's going to put his team in the best possible position he can to win basketball games. The rest is on Zach Kleiman to get him the proper teammates, have the proper team built around him for him to win a championship at least, but hopefully championships, plural. And that's going to take a focused effort by the front office. And Karim Lopez gives you some insight into how they plan on tackling this rebuild. It is exactly the things that we've talked about leading up into this draft. Bigger, stronger, faster. Also, high-level processors and versatility. These two dudes are both 6'9", 6'10", in that range on the court. They both can handle. They both can pass. They both can shoot. They both will play this entire season at 19 years old. Now, let's be clear, because I always say this. We have what seems to be a long runway. 2 19-year-olds to start off this rebuild. Now, they have some good support pieces in Cedric Coward, Zach Edey, Santi Aldama, Ty Jerome, but don't focus on that. Don't get focused on them. The key is what they did last night. 2 19-year-olds who can handle, dribble, pass, and shoot, and are very fast processors. Now, of course, Cameron Boozer, one of the best probably prospects in basketball over the last 5 years. He's a little bit more advanced than Karim Lopez is as of right now. But it's hard to tell exactly where Karim Lopez is because he's been playing against grown men. And I can tell you, as somebody who watched LaMelo Ball over there, and the other next stars guys that played in the NBL, it's hard to get a gauge on exactly where they are because that league is so physical. And, it is very difficult because you got it right now. LaMelo has turned into what he's turned into. And you can see the remnants of that when he was there in the NBL. So if Karim Lopez fully fleshes out the player he was, in the NBL, he is going to be a good utility player. We have to remember Karim Lopez was drafted 21st. He was not drafted third like Cameron Boozer. His projected role is a backup forward. If he becomes anything more than a backup forward, that is a supreme win for the Grizzlies. So my expectations after this draft is, like I've always said, as an NBA fan, your rebuild does not begin until you get the guy. Cameron Boozer is the guy. When the third pick was announced last night in the NBA draft, the Grizzlies rebuild began. Just like the Spurs rebuild began. It doesn't matter how many years you were bad before. It doesn't matter what you've collected. Until you get the guy, your rebuild does not start because you don't know who and what you're building around. So it's like sometimes you can get a Wemby and you know immediately at the draft, like I do with Cameron Boozer. And sometimes it can be somebody like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who develops and becomes that guy. And once he becomes that guy, then you know your rebuild has begun. Because when Shai started to show the signs after they got him, that's when the Thunder rebuild began. And then they got Chet and what's this? The other guy who keeps getting hurt. They got him, and then the next thing you know, the rebuild is complete. So if Boozer is who we hope he is and who I think he is, then we have maybe one more season of misery left. And when I say misery, if Zach Edey's healthy, this season is going to be a good season. And when I say good, I mean this is going to be a team that's in the hunt for the play-in throughout the season. That's how much I believe in Zach Edey, Cameron Boozer, and Cedric Howard. Now, if Zach Edey doesn't stay healthy, then this whole thing is going to require a bunch more maneuvering by the front office. They're going to have to bring in a center to play with Cameron Boozer. You can't just wait to draft one. You can't just let season after season go by. And just like I said, if your doctors, your medical people are telling you that most likely Zach Edey is going to be healthy as possible, as healthy as can be predicted, other than random acts, then you have to do what you have to do to get in a real small forward. And I'm going to have a video on small forward candidates or targets maybe next week. It depends. I'm trying to get it done before Summer League. But, yeah, last night was a good night for Grizz Nation. Grizz Nation is happy. We finally got past the horrible part, and we're back to the good part. And what I mean by that is the horrible part is when you know that the group you have together is not going to reach expectations. And it's only a matter of time of when the rebuild starts. And does your organization have the wherewithal to do it fast or slow? Now we're at the good part where we got young players and we get to see them develop. There are no expectations of winning right now. So we have, we get to see them develop. We get to enjoy the games. We don't have to commiserate the losses. And with the lottery reform, we do not have to hope for losses. Thank God. We don't have to hope for losses. We can just hope for wins, stealing wins from good teams, more experienced teams, and seeing the effect of our young guys. So that's it for now, guys. like I said, we have an exciting offseason coming, hopefully. We're going to do a lot this offseason, more lives. We're going to do a whole roster review for the Grizzlies. I'm trying to wait. We're going to wait to start the roster review until after Summer League. We're going to start the Summer League coverage real soon. Summer League, I think, is what? What is Summer League? Summer League is like 10 days away. Wow. About 10 days away. So, for the next 10 days, the Grizzlies will probably be working out their Summer League team. So, listen, we are at the good part. So enjoy this come up. Enjoy the no pressure hoops that we're about to get to see for a season or two, because those expectations come up on you very fast in the NBA. And the next thing you know, you're lamenting playoff seeds, not getting eliminated in the first round, things like that. And you're upset because your team got eliminated in the first round, when you're at the point right now where you would be just happy to make the playoffs. That would be a joy right now. So see you guys in the next video. I am Memphis X, and I talk hoops. Peace.
I did coming for the 808. Big man